Welcome back, everybody. My name is Sucker, and in today's video, we're talking about some NBA trades. Shocker, I know. But I was kind of scrolling through, looking around some articles the other day, and this one popped up from Bleacher Report about some James Harden trade packages that they think that the Rockets should accept. And I love looking at Bleacher Report stuff. It always provides some interesting content, at least, to take a look at. And that's what we're going to be talking about in today's video. A lot of these are really interesting. Stick around. Let me know what you guys think about these trade packages, because I definitely have some opinions on these. But really quickly, before we get started, if you enjoy content like this, then consider subscribing. I upload twice a day, every day, or at least I have for the last week and a half to 2 weeks or so. So it's a great place for consistent NBA content all throughout the off season. So subscribe if you want. And I'm on the push towards 100,000 subscribers, ideally by the end of the year. You can also leave a like rating on the video. It's a great way to let me know that you're enjoying the content, and it helps get it out to more people on YouTube as well. You can also check me out at various socials at the bottom of the screen here, whether that be Discord, Twitch, or Twitter. Those are all great places to come and hang out with me outside of these videos and outside of the comments section. With all those things said, let's go ahead and get us into some trades. And the first one here, so again, Bleacher Report thinks that the Rockets should take these James Harden trade packages. We already talked about this a couple of different times with the James Harden stuff, right? I don't think it's happening. I don't think the Rockets are actually going to make this move, but it's still fun to take a look and see what trade packages Bleacher Report thinks are worth accepting in exchange for James Harden. So let's get to the first one. It says, in terms of logistics, Joel Embiid and Josh Richardson for Harden works, but it doesn't feel like that's enough for Houston. If the Sixers were willing to kick in their 2020 pick from OKC and their own 2022 pick, would the Rockets budge? And it goes on to say that it thinks that they would. Okay. So here's my initial thought. I'm not trying to disrespect James Harden in any way. I'm not trying to disrespect Bleacher Report in any way in this entire video. We're just here to have fun, right? Talk about NBA trades. That's why we're all here. Embiid, Richardson, and 2 picks sounds like an awful lot. As good of a player as James Harden is. Holy cow, that's a lot. Like Joel Embiid, I understand that, you don't know what he's going to be long term. There's injury issues in there. But like Josh Richardson's a solid player as well, and 2 picks, one of them a future 2022. You don't know what's going to happen with the 76ers roster. I don't know about you guys, but to me, that feels like a lot. If you're Houston, like if Houston got this trade offer tomorrow and I'm in charge, I am saying yes. You can have James Harden. I'm out. I'm trading Russell Westbrook. I'm trading PJ Tucker. I'm trading Robert Covington and trying to get a roster around Joel Embiid and Josh Richardson that works. And we're going from there, because Joel Embiid, when he's healthy, I think is the best big man not named Anthony Davis in the entire league. I really do. And all respect to Nikola Jokic, it's incredibly close. But when healthy and when locked in, the impact that he has on both ends of the floor as a borderline defensive player of the year caliber player and one of the better post players in the league as well, that has some floor spacing ability. When he's locked in and when he's engaged, Joel Embiid is an incredible all-NBA caliber player. And you're getting Josh Richardson and 2 picks. I'm taking this deal if I'm Houston. If I'm the Sixers, I'm looking at this and being like, what's the point? Unless Ben Simmons is going to commit to being like a small ball 4 that can be in ball screens and kind of be like a mini Draymond Green, what's the point of having such a ball dominant player on the roster in James Harden and getting rid of someone like Joel Embiid? Again, I'm not trying to bash anybody. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but that was my first thought when I read this. And maybe I'm completely bonkers, right? Like maybe I'm completely off my rocker and this is actually a great deal for both sides. But for me, this feels like an absolute ton. Even given the MVP history of James Harden, this feels like a lot. Let's move on now, though, to the second trade. And you guys know that I'm not a fan of any Harden to the Nets trade stuff, right? I don't think it makes any logistical sense whatsoever. Well, here we have one. James Harden in exchange for Caris Levert, Jared Allen, Spencer Dinwiddie, Dazana Musa, and 3 first-round picks to Houston in exchange for James Harden. So let's look at this first from the Houston perspective. So you're getting Levert, who I really like as a player, Spencer Dinwiddie, who is either a good trade asset to another team or can be a good player for you. Jared Allen, who I think can be a pretty good big moving forward. I don't know if he's ever going to be an all-star, but he's going to be a good player in the league for a while. And then Musa, who's still 21, it could be something, right? Plus 3 first-round picks, which I'm assuming are the Nets' own picks, which just, it makes me incredibly nervous. I shudder just thinking about trading away all those future picks based off the Billy King era that, the Nets had to climb themselves out of. Again, am I crazy to think that this is a lot? Am I undervaluing the absolute crap out of James Harden? I don't think I am, but like the 3 first round, maybe I'm just nervous about 3 first round picks. Like I don't love the fit in Brooklyn. I don't think it makes any sense whatsoever for James Harden to be there alongside Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. But even if it did make sense, this still feels like a lot to me. I like James Harden as a player a lot, obviously, former MVP type guy, but he feels like someone that to maximize what he does, you got to fit everything around what he does, and what he does is he has the basketball in his hands a lot, and I don't think that he would fit especially well as a part of a star trio in Brooklyn. And if that's the case, I don't want to give up 3 really good players and 3 first-round picks for him. You know, like, I don't know. The more I read through this and the more I thought about it, I was like, man, am I just completely out of nowhere with this? Like, am I just completely insane thinking that James Harden isn't worth the trade packages that they're putting together? I have no idea, but I really started to question myself the more and more that I read this. Last trade now, and it's certainly the most ridiculous, it's the most crazy. James Harden and PJ Tucker for Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, the number 2 pick in the draft, and a 2022 first round pick. Okay, so for me, if James Harden isn't going to be like the A1 number 1 guy, right, then I would rather have Klay Thompson, right? So like Steph is already there, right? So Steph stays in Golden State in this scenario. So Steph and James Harden in the backcourt at the same time would be nearly unstoppable offensively, right? But they're a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? They're a little bit redundant, right? In terms of their skill set, they both do a lot of the same things at the top level of, some of the top scorers in the league, right? And so if that's the case and there's a redundant skill set, then I would rather have Klay Thompson in this scenario straight up. Like if you're just offering this to me and I'm Golden State and Houston calls like, hey, can we have Klay Thompson? You can have James Harden. In that specific Golden State scenario, I'm probably keeping Klay Thompson. But on top of that, and PJ Tucker's involved in this as well, obviously, but on top of that, you're giving up Draymond and the number 2 pick in the draft and a 2022 first. I like, the more that I talk about it, the more I feel like I'm disrespecting James Harden, but I promise I don't mean to. But like, am I crazy to think that if you already have one of the 5, 6, 7 best scorers in the entire league on your roster, wouldn't you rather have Klay Thompson there than have James Harden there? Like, let's just flip the scenario to somewhere like Dallas, right? You've already got Luka, who's an incredible perimeter player, right? If you could pick between adding Klay Thompson to that roster or James Harden to that roster, who would you pick? I would pick Klay, and I understand those injury stuff that he's coming off of. I'm talking about like pre-injury Klay, like the Klay Thompson that we last saw. Hopefully he returns well from the injury. I would rather have Klay Thompson. The only other part of this that can kind of maybe add to this a bit is maybe you're viewing Draymond Green as a bit of a negative asset considering the contract and he's getting older and his stats aren't great. That's the only thing that can start to make sense for me here because you're also getting the 2nd pick in the draft and a 2022 first. Again, if I'm Houston and someone calls me and they're like, hey, you can have Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, the number 2 pick in the draft, and a 2022 first in exchange for James Harden and PJ Tucker, I'm saying yes, I'm hanging up the phone and I'm calling the NBA that second. Like, to me, it's not close. That deal, you're taking it 10 out of 10 times, given the situation that Houston is in right now, given the context that we know about both these teams, I'm taking it every day of the week. And if I'm Golden State, I'm like, wow, that's really interesting. Thanks, but no thanks. We'll go and trade the 2nd pick in Andrew Wiggins for someone that actually fits the roster well. I don't know. Like I said, when I read through this is why I wanted to make a video about it, because I think these are interesting and these are, someone put a good amount of thought into making these actually work from a salary cap standpoint, and finding James Harden trade destinations and packages is not an easy thing to do. And I don't want to make it sound like that it is easy and that they're just completely insane. But for me, you guys got to let me know in the comment section. Maybe I'm not fully understanding the value of James Harden in a trade. And maybe I'm not fully understanding like the amount to which he can help your basketball team. But the only one that I think is kind of good value here for the team that's trading for James Harden is the Nets, just because they're not giving up someone like Klay Thompson, Joel Embiid, like the top player in the trade package is Caris Levert, who I still really like, but not an all-NBA caliber guy. But then I don't love the fit there in Brooklyn. Like if I'm Houston, I'm taking every single one of these trade packages tomorrow. And if I'm the other teams, I'm saying no, and I don't really feel all that bad about it when I say no either. So you guys got to let me know down in the comment section if I'm completely insane for this, but none of these trades really work for me at all. Yeah, there you have it. That is going to be the end of today's very passionate video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you missed any of my previous videos, including any of the 2 a day, every day that I've been putting out over the last week and a half to 2 weeks or so, then you can check out the boxes on screen. Thanks again, and I'll see you all next time.